For our next story, allow me to paint a picture for you. Imagine a massive expanse of land. There are hundreds of missile silos and there's a dictator, dressed up in military fatigues, ordering his troops to launch a missile. You wait with bated breath, but nothing happens. Anticlimax. The silo lids which house the destructive missiles refuse to open. Our dictator is frustrated, but undeterred. He orders his soldiers to fire a different missile. Again, they fail. This time, the missiles are the problem. Instead of rocket fuel, they're filled with water. It sounds like a comedy of errors, but what if I told you that this is not fiction? All of this is happening in real life to none other than Xi Jinping, the leader of one of the most powerful nations in the world, with one of the largest military forces. Xi Jinping cannot trust his missiles. Says who? A US intelligence report. They've conducted an assessment and the findings are both hilarious and shocking. Recently, Xi Jinping ordered a purge. His target was the Chinese military. It started with the top guy, Li Shangfu. We've told you about this. He was China's defense minister. Xi Jinping had appointed him in March 2023. Barely 6 months into the job, Li Shangfu disappeared. He went missing in August 2023. 2 months later, in the month of October, he was sacked, removed from office. The news came officially from Beijing, but as always, no reason was given for his removal. He just disappeared. And this was just the beginning of more high-profile exits in China. Just last month, 9 military officials were given the boot. They were removed from the National People's Congress. That is China's top legislative body. 9 people were removed. In July 2023, 2 top generals were removed. They ran China's nuclear rocket force. And this has been the trend. The Chinese president has been relentless. It's not clear how many officers are gone, but multiple reports say it was a large-scale purge. And Xi Jinping is not done yet. Apparently, the sackings will continue this year as well. The Chinese military mouthpiece, one of the mouthpieces, published a report about this purge, about why Xi Jinping was sacking his generals. And this is what the piece says, and I'm quoting, "China is waging a difficult and protracted war against corruption." So the officers were deemed corrupt. Nothing new there. When Xi Jinping became president, his top priority was fighting graft, especially in the PLA. He launched a campaign called Tigers and Flies, meaning a crackdown on both big and small players, tigers and flies. They will all face action. And that's exactly what he did. In the last 10 years, more than 2 million government officials have been prosecuted in China, including from the PLA. And now, more than 11 years into the job, the cleanup drive is still on. So the Americans dug into this decade-long purge. And what they uncovered was quite embarrassing for China. Turns out, corruption in the PLA is rampant, especially in the defense industrial base. Both the PLA's officials and suppliers are involved, and this corruption has hurt their preparedness, their readiness for war. The US intelligence uncovered specific examples. Listen to this, and I'm not making this up. Listen carefully. China got missiles that were filled with water instead of fuel. I'll repeat that. The missiles supplied to the Chinese army had water, not fuel in them. In Western China, there's a missile silo field where the lids are malfunctioning, so they cannot launch a missile when they want to. I'm sure it's a matter of shame and worry for Xi Jinping. So he's doing what he does best, crack down. But the bigger story here is this. The obvious weakness of his military. China is not war ready. That's the conclusion of the American report. They cannot fight a war. These revelations have shaken China's confidence in its army and raised doubts about the PLA's capabilities. Where does this leave Xi Jinping? He cannot fight the world with missiles filled with water. He pumped billions to modernize his military. He wanted a mighty sword of steel. What he's got is papier-mâché.